afternoon, good evening, good night. This is your antisocial, and this is the antisocial hour-ish show. Not quite an hour, sometimes too much more than an hour, sometimes not even near an hour. When we get Steve Pearl on next week, you'll see. And this week, this is the second half of an amazing pair of human beings that I think you guys should get to know a little bit better because they are both wicked smart. They are both wicked funny. But this guy is the best comedy coach on planet Earth, bar none, even you, Greg Dean. This is Steve North. How are you, Steve?
Oh, I'm just so average. Thank you.
You're just so average. Is there a lovely book standing next to you there? Uh, what is the name of your book?
Oh, how to kill in comedy.
And what type of
Um,
gun should we use?
what?
What type of gun do we use?
Oh, well, um, it depends on your character.
Ah,
If you're a soft-spoken comedian, you use a little Derringer. If you're a rowdy, high-energy comedian, then you use a shotgun.
cool. I just tend to blow it out my butt. So
Yeah,
whatever comes out, that's what the
yeah.
audience gets.
There are no rules,
There are no.
You just do
But
it the best way you can.
you are an amazing like guru to the stars. Like everybody in the industry knows who you are. Everybody in the industry wants to work with you, has tried to work with you, has worked with you. Let's talk about other stuff first. Let's talk about back in the days. Let's say it's almost, I won't say that you're 80 years old, but back in the days of let's give it the 50s and 60s there. What did you start as a stand-up?
Wow, what a that you have just opened a can of worms. Okay. So here's how it all began. We're driving around in a van
We as in who?
In Colorado,
You and your bride.
me and my bride and three friends.
Okay.
We're a little stoned, and we see this little ad for an audition for a little church group for a play. Now, I
Okay.
had never acted before. None of us had ever. We did it as a joke.
Okay. Right.
So, guess who winds up getting the lead in the play?
Tell me it was Jesus Christ Superstar. Did
Me. And
you
I'd never
really?
acted.
Oh
So
my God.
that's one moment. That's one moment I'll never forget. Just before the curtain opened, a packed house, and all of a sudden I'm like, I've never done this. And I actually started to run and leave.
Oh no.
But I didn't. And then it went fine. And then we were in this little mountain theater group for a while.
Uh-huh.
And we had grown up with Second City in Chicago.
That's where I studied. I studied with Second
Beautiful.
City in Santa Monica. Yeah.
Joyce, what was her name? Joyce, the
Well, I
lady
was
that
with
ran it.
yeah. And
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
and the Arquettes and Del
right, right.
Close and everybody, yeah. Mina
Yeah,
Cole, Baby Shriver, yeah.
that's right. So after we'd been in a couple of plays, then Barb was in the next play with me.
Uh,
Um, then we said, I know, let's do an improv show. Again, not knowing what we're doing, but having gone to Second City and all
yeah,
that, and we were always attracted to that. So we put a sketch show together with some improv,
nice.
and now a series of coincidences happened, which convinced me that this was meant to be.
Because you were the
So
luckiest son of a bitch on planet Earth.
I guess. So what happened was we did 3 weeks of this show, and it was pretty much of a hit. I mean, in the mountains there.
What else are you gonna
And
do? Bowl.
and so here's the first linchpin. We decided they gave us one extra week to perform. Now, during that week, a group called the Committee, you may remember them,
I'm very familiar with the committee. Yes.
yeah, came to Denver and we're doing a big show at a club there. So we went and saw them.
Oh,
And
excellent.
and afterwards, we went up to them and said, "Hey, we have this little theater in the mountains. If you want to take a day off and come up to the mountains, maybe do a workshop for us. We'd love that."
Cool.
Two of them accepted it, and um, they came up
Nice.
and they taught us a workshop. So here's linchpin number two.
That's so
We
cool.
drive them back to Denver. They're about to get out of the car. For some reason, we decide to go into their room with them. And I don't remember why, but while we're in the room, linchpin number three,
Hmm.
they get a phone call from a guy who's putting a professional improv group together. And he says, "Do you know anybody?" And they say, "Well, we have this couple here,
Hmm.
and they're doing one more show this weekend if you want to go up and see them." So
So cool. I
they
get
came and
goosebumps.
saw us, and they picked Barb and I and joined our first professional improv team.
Oh, so cool.
So now we're performing around Colorado. And this particular director had the belief that the group always had to be on the same drug. And we weren't much into drugs then, but so one night,
Don't mind the
uh,
cat. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, right. One night he has some very strong, not pot, but what's that other stuff that's like pot? Um, hash,
Oh, hashish. Yeah, sure.
hashish, right. And so again, we have this packed house and we're all stoned. And do you remember the game Story, Story, Die?
Yes.
Cool. So, well, for anyone listening, so what happens is there's like four people and a director,
Mhm.
and he points to somebody and you go, "Once upon a time, there was a," point to the next person, and they
Mhm.
have to continue the story. If you mess up, the audience yells, "Die."
Yeah.
And then you have to improvise a death scene.
Which is usually the biggest, most monstrous, craziest thing you can think of.
Right. But then, and since I died first, I had to lay on the stage while the other three kept going.
Uh-oh.
Well, what I didn't know is I passed out, completely passed out. So, you know, so the actor's dream, the actor's nightmare where the camera's turned on and they have no memory of what the script is.
And they forget where the clothes are and they don't know where
Right,
they're supposed
right.
to be. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I got to experience the performer's nightmare, which is I open my eyes, I see a complete audience looking at me. I have no idea what I'm doing there. Barb and the other members of the group are off stage going, "Steve, Steve, get up, leave." And I had no idea what I was doing there, why I was there, or anything.
It's a
So
new
I think,
bit.
what?
Brand new bit.
Yeah. So I just kind of, with a lot of integrity, stood up, brushed myself off, and walked off the stage. It didn't make any sense.
I meant to do
Anyway,
that.
so then the next linchpin happens. We get a comedy special on the CBS network affiliate in Denver.
I was gonna say
Now,
that's
don't get
kind of
it.
a big
No,
deal.
don't
This
get
is
excited here because we
yeah.
worked for 3.5 months and we got paid $150.
Wow.
And that's when we realized, all right, I'm either going to have to drive a bus or we're going to have to go out to Hollywood
Yeah.
and
The
try
big
to get
lucrative paychecks weren't just happening.
right. Exactly. So that's how we came out. And when we first got here, we were still doing sketches.
uh,
And it kind of worked in the comedy store. But when we went out, I remember we had this disastrous night at in Newport Beach at this comedy club, uh, and literally we did sketches, and they just stared at us.
so they were
I
you
mean,
were hoping you were
just
Nichols and May, and they were hoping you were something else.
right. So that's when we decided we better do stand up.
That's hard. That's
So
hard.
that's how we all got started, anyway.
That's so cool. But
Yeah.
how did you actually meet Barb? We heard her version. Let's hear your
Well,
version.
that's another weird story. So
Okay.
we both went to the same high school, and we didn't meet there.
Mhm.
Then we both went to the same college, the University of Denver, and we
Mhm.
didn't meet there. But because Denver was on the quarter system, we all had a month off in December. So a lot of us got jobs at Marshall Fields, which was a
Cool.
department store in Chicago.
Mhm.
um, and that's where I met her.
That's
Um,
so funny.
and what I was famous for there at Marshall Fields was I was on the budget floor and I didn't want to work. So when someone would come up for help, I would pretend I was a mannequin. They would go, or excuse me, can you? Oh, sorry. And then they'd get embarrassed and then they'd walk away.
You were good.
I was good. And I had another favorite little thing that I did, which was, the tie rack, how it's hanging.
Yeah.
So a customer would be sitting there looking through the ties, right? I would reach my hand around behind and grab his hand real fast. I was not the best employee there, but um, and the only other thing I did there is I took legs from mannequins
Uh-oh.
and I took two male legs and put them coming out from under a counter face up and two female legs between them face down. And anyway, I never got fired, but
You were, as they say, a Dickens.
yeah. Now, here's another strange linchpin. About 50 years, 40 years later,
Uh-huh.
do you know Danny Robinson at APA?
I know of him. I don't know him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in his office,
Uh-huh.
and we'd become friends and we did work with him and stuff. There's a book on his table, the 50 most boring postcards in the world. And so on the first page, it's a picture of Marshall Fields where we met.
Oh, that's too funny. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, really.
Oh, that's too funny. Oh, that is hilarious. Were you like a class clown as a kid?
Um, Oddly enough, no, I was funny, but I had humor that nobody would laugh at. Um, uh, I don't know. Um, I got funny. I think what I was I was one of those kids that, thought, hey, this is a good one. And I'd reel it off and they'd just stare at me. I don't know. It's just
You're probably too smart for the room.
maybe that's always bullshit when you think that. I don't think I was very funny. But what I was is all my teachers
Uh-huh.
told me that I was very nice, but I didn't apply myself.
Yeah, we used to get that.
Did
My
you get
sister and I
that?
both did. Yeah, it was. I was very ADHD before they ever knew what ADHD was. Because one of my
Right.
favorite things is they get all my work done within moments of them handing it to me, and I'd just be bored. So I'd just be like, okay, I'm just gonna
That's
write my
right.
own TV. I basically wrote my own TV shows, pretending I was being interviewed by Johnny Carson in second grade, like every day.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah, I know. I
teaching
still
my
remember Zoa Favorite. That was my first grade homeroom teacher,
oh my goodness.
and everybody was afraid of her.
Uh-huh.
Um, but she looked me in the eye and she said, "You could be somebody. All you have to do is apply yourself." And right then and there, my grades went from D to C minus.
Oh, that was it. It was like
It doesn't get any better than
I'm
that.
gonna race to the medium. That's too funny. It's really funny watching how people progress to like a lot of people I speak with are they're very introverted and they don't talk much and people are very surprised when they pop in like, oh, that guy was on my TV show. I didn't expect that to happen.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And you meet people like Robin Williams and and people think, oh, he's like that all the time. He's like, well, no, he isn't. He was a normal, quiet guy.
I don't know about that. We worked with Robin in at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
We were put in the main room which was for improv and groups because we were a team.
Hmm.
Mitzi never really wanted to put us in the stand-up room for some reason.
Oh, the original room.
But
Yeah.
Robin was on that show, and every night we closed with a thing where we did the national anthem,
Uh-huh.
and Barb would have her hand on her heart, and I would have my hand on her other breast. And every time we get off the stage, Robin would go by us and go, "Ooh, titties, titties, ooh, titties, titties." Oh, yeah, we've had some wonderful and horrible experiences performing. I
Yeah.
think probably the worst time we ever had. This is actually diabolical. I'm sure
Uh-oh.
everybody has stories like this, but so we had just shot the Mike Douglas show, which was our
Oh,
first talk show.
I remember him very
And so
well.
we were all excited. Now we're going to get all this work and everything, right?
Yeah.
So we get a call from at the time Norm, what was that guy, that old guy, Norm
Norm Crosby?
Crosby,
Yeah.
Norm Crosby's Comedy Something. And
Yeah.
it was
It
the
is
only other, yeah,
misanthropic words. Yeah.
right. It was the only other comedy show on the air at that time.
Mhm.
And this woman, and I won't name her, Sue Yam, she calls us. She said, I'd love to see a video of your work. So we get all excited. We're going to, get on the next show.
Mhm.
We send her a video of our Mike Douglas set. She
Yeah.
calls us like right away and says, uh, I'd like you guys to come in. I'd really like to talk to you. And we go, okay, great. And she sets up an appointment. We go down a week later on Sunset Boulevard and we go up to her office and she goes, excuse me, but I've got an extra thing happening. If you guys wouldn't mind, could you come back in an hour and we'll have our meeting? I went, all right, fine. So we go
Welcome
to
to
Hamburger.
Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah, we go to Hamburger Hamlet.
Hmm.
Then we come back. She sits down. We sit in her office. She looks at us. She says, so I saw your tape and I didn't like it.
Thanks.
And we're like, you didn't. And so why did you want to have this meeting?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. She said, well, I just wanted to tell you personally.
I wanted you to hear it directly from my face that
That's
I did
right.
not like you.
That's right. That's right. Set up a meeting and everything. That was a bad time.
She must have been somebody's great in-law. You know?
Yeah.
I really like your cooking. I just wish you wouldn't do it ever.
Ever. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, we've had all kinds of those kind of experiences.
what was the worst
Um,
time on stage? Do you remember?
oh yeah. So back then, the Playboy Club was a big circuit for comedy people. There weren't a
Yeah, they
lot.
had it in Boston, they had it in New
Yeah,
York,
right.
they had Chicago, yeah, everywhere.
So this is when we were still in Denver. We did the audition, um, and they passed us, and they said, "Okay, Sam DiStefano, the big man, is coming in town uh, in a month,
Oh,
and we'd like you to do your set for him." So again, we're like, "Oh boy, we're gonna be on the big circuit, right?"
yeah, eat that up. Yeah.
And of course, we dress up too much and all that. So here's one of the first rules of comedy, and it's in my book,
Hmm.
which is when you have a rehearsed set, don't try some stupid joke at the beginning because you've put a good set together and
Yeah.
just control yourself and do your set. So we get in this room and it's a big ballroom with a big dome on the top of it.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
So Mr. Genius here looks up and goes, aha, I know what I'm going to say.
Uh-oh.
And I go, well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're Barb and Steve North. And look at that. We've got a view of the breast from inside.
Oh.
Uh, you've heard about you could hear a pin drop, right?
Yeah, that was not your breast material.
No, and the worst part of it is when you do that, the audience is already convinced you're not funny and you haven't even done your act yet.
Yep, you just set them up
So
for like,
yeah,
that was nice.
and that wasn't the worst performance we ever did. There are all so many of them now. There was one with a fountain behind us, and you couldn't hear anything.
Oh no.
Oh,
In
but
Vegas,
I'll
we
tell
had a
you what
bunch
I
of big,
think is the very worst thing that can happen to you, because back then there weren't comedy clubs really. I mean, there were some,
they were
the comedy
nightclubs.
store.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so there was another comedy team that's name was Jeff and Ernst.
Uh-huh.
Um, so they got a gig opening for the Spinners rock group. Now you got to picture this. So they're in a stadium,
Oh, geez.
35,000 people.
Screaming for the spinners in the
Yeah,
RV.
basically. But
Yeah.
anyway, and now here's Jeff and Ernst, and they come out and there's silence, and they get to their first punchline, and there's about 20 seconds of silence, and then one voice from way in the back goes, Spinners! They didn't understand that you don't put uh, comedy with rock groups,
And they
except
did
for
that for
Steve Martin.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah, lots of people did that for years and years and years and years and years. Like,
yeah, right.
yeah,
It was horrible. And
oh,
then one time, do you remember who Spirit was?
yeah.
So we opened for them in Boulder,
Okay.
and this again was not a good match. Hard rock.
Yeah.
We
Acid
do our
rock
first
that.
set, and we kind of go over okay.
Uh-huh.
And in the meantime, then they come up for the second set, and people are dancing around. One guy dances up to the stage, throws up.
I was gonna say shrooms must have been kicking in by then.
Yeah. And then he goes over, gets a mop, dances over, cleans up, and then just keeps going. So, what they didn't tell us is then the club owner comes up, and we had used every bit of material we had,
Uh-oh.
30-minute set.
Uh-oh.
And now the club owner says, yeah, we're not going to turn the house over because there's hardly any new people coming in.
Oh
So
no.
now we're looking at the same audience we just did a show for,
Oh, no.
and
Tell us that one again.
we have no more material.
Oh no.
So I tried this really lame thing, which is it's brilliant, but it's stupid and it didn't work.
Oh.
I go, so hi everybody. We had a request to do this piece again from members of the audience. and we did the piece, and of course there was three people that laughed at every line because they're the
Everybody else
only
is
ones
like shrooms, man.
who hadn't seen it yet. Yeah, that's right. But there were good times too. I mean, I remember the first time we performed a group of drunk miners in Silver Plume, Colorado.
Minors as in not minors.
Miners, yes,
Yeah.
it's a small mountain town. That was
Uh,
the first time we performed professionally. They paid us with steaks and $20, and it was a fun night.
oh, that's
There's good and bad.
yeah. I've had some of the best audiences when there's been like five or six people there at
Sure.
2 a.m. And then some of the worst audiences in places.
Oh
I
yeah.
worked with Bobcat Goldthwait, and some guy uh, interrupted the show to protest the university we were working in. It was like, okay. And Bob was like, I don't know what to do here. I'm going to bring him up on stage, let him tell his rant, and then go back to doing my show. And he did.
That's right.
It was great.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, me and Kim Coles were sitting there going, oh, this is going to be fun. Okay. It was so weird.
So then we ran into another little bump. We were trying to do more TV shows,
Uh-huh.
and AFTRA would not let us get paid as one person.
Oh, they didn't think of you as a unit. You had to be individuals because of the union.
Right. And
Uh-huh.
so, if it was between us and five other guys that were just as funny, they
Hmm.
didn't have to pay double. So we had
Ah,
trouble getting more talk shows. Um, Oh, here's a fun one.
Okay.
So, do you remember Shields and Yarnell?
I know she, yes. In fact, my ex-husband used to date one of the two, the gal. So,
Oh, well, so what happened there was they were a team and they had their own summer TV special.
yeah,
And
gals,
this was,
people online, the Shields and Garnell were mime troupe, comedy mime troupe, a couple.
oh, right.
Yeah.
So we were a couple, you know.
Hmm.
So we went down and auditioned for them, and they seemed real interested. And they went, "Could we see more?" And we're getting more excited, right? And we do our motorcycle scene, we do our car scene, and they're loving it. They're laughing. Oh, give us more. Tell. And
Uh-oh.
so we leave there figuring, hey, we're going to be on network TV now.
Sure.
I got a phone call 2 weeks later from my mother in Florida,
Uh-huh.
who just saw Shields and Yarnell perform our motorcycle bit.
They're
And
dead to
that's
me.
what they did. They just kept wanting to see stuff so that they would have material for their show.
I hate when people do that, or
I
people.
know.
It's so bad. People don't, when you're starting in comedy, a lot of newbies don't get like nobody's trying to steal your stuff. You're new. Nobody cares about you. But they'll look at the people that have been around for 10 or 12 years.
Yeah, they don't do it. Good
Yeah.
people, most people don't steal.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's no point because it
yeah,
has nothing to do with you as an individual. But when you do something like mime or something that's like off the wall, or I've even had a friend get their material stolen from a Renaissance fair. It's weird. He's a tightrope walker who does comedy prattle while he's up on the wire. And he
oh,
goes
I
to the
know.
yeah, he did the
Well,
improv a few weeks later and somebody's doing a set. It's like, how does
right.
that work without the rope? How does that work?
Yeah. Well, we did a lot of work with George Carlin. He was kind of a friend, and we were helping him out with his movie before he could. Uh, he was trying to do a movie,
Uh-huh.
and it was maybe 2 years before it would have worked great.
Wow.
But at that time, nobody would payroll a movie with the seven dirty words and all that.
It's so stupid. Yeah,
In
now
fact,
it's like
I know, he gave us a scene to do for his movie.
uh-huh.
He just said, you go up to an airline counter,
Mhm.
and the woman goes, smoking or non-smoking, and you say non-smoking, and then she goes, fucking or non-fucking. And then we did that. We improvised the whole scene about, I don't know, you want to fuck today? Well, I'm not in the mood to fuck and fly and blah blah blah. And it was very funny, and he loved it. But he never could get money to do the movie.
Oh,
But that made us good friends with him. And when I watched him change from being a comic to a comedian,
yeah.
that had a
Huge.
lot to do with me writing the book.
Really?
Because,
Why so?
well, so in my book, my premise is that you're either a comic or a comedian.
Mhm.
And a comic is someone who says funny things. A comedian is a funny person.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're a funny person. I can already tell that. But um, he had spent 10 or 15 years being a comic. He got
Right.
laughs, the hippy
The
dippy
hippy dippy
weatherman and all
weatherman.
that. Right.
Yeah.
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 And then we saw him in Aspen at a comedy festival. And he said, you know what I realized? I'm not in my own act.
Exactly. He wasn't being himself.
Right. And that's when he got in touch with what I call his formula, which
Mhm.
is what's the next funny thing I can get angry at?
Yeah.
And from that moment that he got that, he was able to do like 6 or 8 HBO specials, hours and hours of unlimited material.
And he had Dennis
And
Blair, who's the complete, sweetheart, soft musician guy who had no anger in any of his acts, be his opener. And I think that also helped augment his show.
right. So
Yeah.
that was a motivation. Um, and I was doing a lot of coaching at that point
Hmm.
about 5 years ago.
Hmm.
And people kept saying, you got to write a book. You got to write a book. Because I had this method that I was teaching everybody
Okay.
called comedic character method, where you
Mhm.
have to get in touch with who you are
Right.
and then you have to exaggerate it. But you can't be a comic. You can't just do observational stuff, even if
Yeah,
you
just
get
being a,
laughs.
yeah, dad
Yeah,
jokes. Yeah.
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 And in the book, I even say, I won't tell you who it is, but I can name somebody that was literally on the Tonight Show 26 times, and you still don't know who he is
Wow.
because he was a comic. He just did jokes that
Yeah.
anybody could do. You could give his joke to the next performer, and they would get exactly the same laugh.
Right. Unless you're Stephen Wright. Now, Stephen Wright could pull that off because his personality came out and how he told the joke.
Oh, he has a very strong comedic character. So
Yeah.
he's a good example.
Yeah.
So when I when I started coaching, I said because I knew a lot of teachers that they just taught what they thought was funny or they
Mhm.
wanted people to be like them.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that. So I literally researched every successful stand-up famous comedian. And I found four parts to their character that they all had. I don't want to get too
People like
technical.
Moms Mabley and people like Phyllis Dilla and people like,
Sure, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They all had a
It,
flaw,
yeah.
part one. There has to be something wrong with you to be funny.
Right.
Either you're too nice, or you're too angry, or you're too bitter, or you're too stupid,
Yeah.
something.
Something is that extreme that you can grab onto and say, okay, this is what I'm gonna.
But it has to be real. It has to
It
be a
has to
part
be
of you
core to
that's
who you are.
believable.
Yeah.
You can't just pick a flaw.
Yeah. I got bad dentistry. Oh, that's really crazy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But the flaw without what I call the blind spot
Mhm.
doesn't work.
Right.
So the blind spot, and that's the whole thing right there. The blind spot means that the character cannot understand what's funny about him or her
Hmm.
or why anything she or he says is wrong. And that's what creates the flaw with the blind spot. It's like this twist
Right.
where you see what's wrong with the person, but they don't get what's wrong with the
And
person.
that's the unexpected surprise that you get, which makes
Right.
that stand
Yeah.
out so much better.
So
Yeah.
the line I always use as an example of that, this is one I wrote for this guy a long time ago, but this guy like looks cocky and all that. And he says, I am a ladies' man. I am a player. And let me tell you something. When I make love to a woman, and trust me, one day I will, and that's the blind spot.
Yeah.
And the flaw, what he
That's
thinks of
very Gary
himself.
Shandling. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
true of everybody. I mean, whether it's Anthony Jeselnik, who
Yeah.
appears to be trying to convince you that he's charming and intelligent, and everything at the end ends with this horrible, punchline
Oh, he's just
where
a,
he's the worst person on the planet.
yes.
Uh, even even Matt Rife, who he he comes across like he's this perfectly normal, intelligent guy, and he's everything is wrong with him. But that idea that they don't get, and that's the biggest mistake that most comics make.
Yeah.
And I say comics because they're not comedians. They
Right.
get up and they tell jokes or they make observations. They get you to laugh at everybody else. In the meantime, you're not laughing at them.
Yeah,
And
you're not, I also feel like there's a team mentality where you feel like you want to be on that person's side. And if they have that flaw, you are really pushing for that person. Like Richard Lewis is so good at that. You know,
yes,
you would just
and
fight for
and
that.
you notice Richard Lewis will never say the words, "I know I'm a mess and I act like I
Yeah,
like I'm a mess." He'll never say that
of
because
course
he
not.
doesn't know that.
Right,
Because
right.
that's his blind spot. One thing that was interesting that happened when I wrote the book, I was so proud of myself that I had come up with the blind spot concept.
Hmm.
And, the book, by the way, in the last 4 years, has sold like 25,000 copies all over the world.
And it's everywhere. You can get it on Amazon, Powell's Books,
Yeah,
your local
yeah.
bookstore. Yeah.
But anyway, so I found this thing. this is, you think that you think that nothing is old or new.
Everything old is new again.
Right. So
Everything I've done before. Yeah.
this was written by a guy in 1892.
Oh, good.
And just this one little reference to what I call the blind spot.
Hmm.
He says, a comic character is generally comic in proportion to his ignorance of himself. The comic person is unconscious as though he becomes invisible to himself while remaining visible to the world. And that is just the best
That is
description of the blind spot
beautifully
I've
said.
ever heard. And
Yeah, that
1898.
so there's Buster Keaton, there's Roscoe Arbuckle, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a whole
right.
passion of people. And even Charlie Chaplin. Here's a guy who plays a sweet, lovable doofus. In real life he was a bit of a lech and pedo, but in real life
Yeah,
he didn't
yeah.
see that whole other blind spot. But he wrote some amazing stuff, and I think that comedians to me are the biggest thinkers because
Because what?
they have to be. You have to see
Yeah.
way beyond, what everybody else sees to understand what's the human nature of it.
Well, human nature is really not to show strangers your intimate problems. And
Right.
that's why so many people try to become comics. Um, I can't, I have coached literally thousands and thousands of people
Hmm.
all over the world. And the one thing I've noticed is that when I get them their character, and I'm very quick at telling them their character,
Right.
there are those who can do it, who don't mind showing that part of themselves, and there are those who just don't want to show strangers that part of themselves,
It's
and
scary.
so they just can't do it. But
Mm.
if you look at every successful stand-up comedian, they are always being vulnerable. They are showing you what's wrong with them, whether they're too angry or too
Domestic
cocky.
goddess, whatever
Yeah,
it is that was the, part of who they were. Even Amy Schumer, who's not the prettiest gal in the world, did her whole career about being the prettiest gal in the world. I mean, come on.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And her blind spot is she thinks she's so sweet.
Yeah.
And yet all her punchlines tell you what a horrible asshole she is and the way,
Yeah.
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 So it's that flip that's the really hardest thing. And some people are happy to show everybody their flaw and actually exaggerate it, and other people just don't want to do it.
Now, are
Um,
you still coaching folks, or is that because you're at
yeah,
comedycoach.com is your website?
no,
Funny,
my
funny,
website is
funny,
funnycoach.com.
funnycoach.com. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So
Comedycoach.
I teach, I have an online workshop,
Yeah.
2 Wednesdays every month plus a show, and it's all on Zoom.
Hmm.
And I have people from Germany, Canada, all over the world doing that. And then I do a lot of private coaching, an hour, and I do that all over the world too. And it's just fun. People call you and, yeah, I just really want to find my character, and I'm up there on stage and I'm doing funny stuff, but it's not getting the right reaction. And what am I doing wrong? And uh, and I'm really too old to put up with shit. So I will tell them what their character is because I am very fast at that.
That's good.
And and if you can do it, fine, it's to your benefit. And if not, get out of comedy because you're never going to make it as a comedian if you want to hold on to your self-esteem.
Yeah, yeah. You have to feel like that onion is going to just completely peel down to the nothing. So, I
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
when I first started out in Boston, I had these geniuses around me. I had like Dennis Leary and Paula Poundstone and Wendy
Yeah,
Lee, all these people around me that were just finding things in their lives that were just so amazing. And I used to think I don't have any of that, which is so bullshit. It's like
yeah, no,
you
everybody does.
absolutely do. You just don't know it.
Yeah, you got to show us what a moron you are.
And I've been married 4 times, so there's my proof. So,
Right. Now, for the blind spot, though, the way you do that is you'd be saying, and I'm good at marriage.
I'm so good at it, and I love
Yeah,
doing
I've
it.
been married 4 times. You can't be good at marriage and be married 4 times. That's
Exactly.
how good I am. I'm going for number 5 and number 6.
You know, the wedding cakes are buy one get one free at this point. But yeah, I mean that is.
Right.
I went from being the girl that would do this whole thing about having to get a personal ad back 100 years ago when people used to do personal ads. You know, I had to get one. Like that was.
Wait,
Now
a
it's like
personalized what?
a personal ad, you know, one of those ads in the back of like LA Weekly where you back in the old days before we had Match.com, personal ads in the back where you would like, I want to meet a guy with brown hair and brown eyes who likes to pay for my dinner or whatever. You know,
Oh,
um,
so
yeah,
now
just
the way I got actually the moment that I got started as a comedy coach,
mhm.
which was about, oh my God, 40 years ago or something, I was like at a dead end and I don't know, things were not going well. Yeah. And I went to this woman called the Ideal Lady,
Uh-huh.
and I've never been able to find her since. And nobody was doing comedy coaching back then. This was
Yeah.
like I don't remember what year it was, but there was no such thing as a comedy coach.
Yeah, I think Greg Dean started what in the 80s. That was
Yeah, and this was probably 79, 81, something like that.
mhm.
And I went to this wonderful woman. I paid her $80,
uh
and she was the Ideal Lady. And her ad in Dramalog, I remember, was, "Are you stuck in your career? Or you don't know where to go? Come see the Ideal Lady." So I
She
go
was
and I see her,
she was like a life
and
coach. Yeah.
and she listens to my story, and she says, "Well, why don't you coach people, teach people in comedy?" And I said, "Well, nobody does that. I mean, why would?" She said, "Well, you should do it. I feel that about you." She was very, you know,
Her gut was
and
dead on.
so I thanked her, and I remember I put a little ad in Dramalog,
Uh-huh.
Steve North, the comedy coach, get coached, and uh, I had one person the first month, 3 people the second month came, and then it slowly started to build.
Sure.
And then I started doing workshops where
Brilliant.
I think the LA Connection was one, and
Oh,
did it at lately at Flappers and at um, the Comedy Chateau. Um, and we had, a lot of groups coming, and now it's just kind of worn down to just the online stuff.
right. Because
Oh,
everybody's so afraid to be in person nowadays.
yeah, but we'll probably do. I did one at the that place in Santa Monica. The can't remember.
Oh God. I haven't been in
the
LA in so long.
Oh yeah. And I'll probably do another one at the Comedy Chateau like in January, but I'm doing mostly online coaching now. And
Cool.
Barb and I still act, and we
Excellent.
did 2 commercials,
Are
and
you still writing TV shows or not?
we used to do that a lot.
Yeah.
And Barb probably told you the problem is that back in the 80s and 90s when we did it, networks weren't allowed to own their own shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we
And
could
now
sell. We
YouTube,
could,
everybody owns a show. I own a show. Yeah.
yeah, we owned a show.
Yeah.
We even sold a show to France. Um, and But then they passed this thing called FinCEN, and it
Right.
made it that NBC could own the show that they're doing, and
Yeah.
that was it for developing shows. If you develop a show today, you're just doing it to be in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no way you're going to own anything. So we don't do that so much. We still manage, maybe Barb more than me,
Uh-huh.
manage about 15 performers.
That's pretty amazing too. That's a hard job. That's like having 15 kids.
Well, Barb is great at that. I mean, I'm a good manager in the sense that I can help them
Uh-huh.
with their creative stuff, but I am the worst manager ever.
But you know
And
what your
Barb
talents
is
are.
the best manager I've ever seen.
She's very
She
good.
just she never leaves a dollar on the table when she negotiates.
She's so smart. And she is a mediator. I mean, professionally a
Yeah,
mediator.
right,
She's
right.
really
Yeah,
on the ball. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So
it's amazing watching how you two work together. I mean, it's not just a marriage of, how you guys love each other. It's just a marriage of how you guys live together and think together and
yeah,
just
well, that's the
process
secret.
everything.
We live in different states.
Yeah, that's I'm in
Uh,
a state of unconsciousness. Gee.
exactly. Yeah. So you're still doing stand up?
Oh yeah, I haven't actually. We just moved up to Portland area, so I haven't. I was in San Francisco. I had my own room for 5 years. But when I moved up here, I didn't. I haven't started playing yet, so I'm still gonna work on that. It's like I've been working on the show for so long that I haven't really had uh, any time to go play on stage, and I miss it. And I miss doing improv more than anything because
That's what I miss. That's what
yeah,
I miss. In fact, our because we just couldn't do improv and sketches and stand-up clubs. It just wasn't working, you know.
yeah.
But
Well,
I love that. And in fact, our agent right now
mhm.
in LA was in our original group in Colorado 45 years ago.
Wow, that's too
Um,
cool.
and not only that, but she's still living in Robin Williams' apartment because they were in an improv group up in San Francisco together.
Oh, up by the Holy Zoo there. That
Yes,
improv group
the
that was up
Holy
there. Yeah,
Zoo, right.
yeah.
And
With
and
Will and Debbie Durst.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So, we're all attached somehow.
yeah. It's
So,
amazing. The community, like people I've known since the late 70s, I still talk to every day, more than I talk to family members sometimes, and it's the thing about comedy that I think people don't understand is it is a community. It's not just, you start to meet people when you're first doing open mics, and those are the same people you're going to be working with for the next 40 years,
yeah. Well, that's one thing I also say in my book that you got to be nice to your fellow comedians because it, it's most likely that you'll get your break from one of them.
Yes, yes.
That
You
they will
never
say,
shit where you
"Hey,
eat, period.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And also know every single bartender and every single bouncer and every single, because when I got the comedy store, I had no idea like signing up and everything, but I was dating a bartender there. And I said, well, I know I want to go there eventually. I just don't know what sign up is and blah blah blah. And so he got me on the list twice because I just was dating this guy. He said, yeah, we'll get you on the list. We'll get you on the list. You're late in the night, but you're on. I'm like, okay, so I'm doing it. But it took me that long. It took me a while to finally figure out the routine that you had to know everybody and you had to be nice to the people you know. And when I was interviewing comics the first time on this show, I would just say point blank, don't shit where you eat. You don't be an asshole. Those are the two main rules, which is the same exact rule. you know,
So true.
you
Really.
know. Um, I can't think of anybody I work with that I would ever say anything bad about. So,
Oh, I've got a few.
well, not on the air.
No, no, not on the air. No, no, no. Oh my
There's a
God.
couple people that have stabbed me pretty hard, and I think it's because they don't understand the same thing I understood, which
Right.
was it's a community,
It is. Well, especially so I don't know if you remember the time when we struck the Comedy Store.
Yes, yes.
So what year was that? That was
81, 80, 81.
81, 82. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we formed the American Federation of Comedians, as you were.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I wear the hat because I'm captain of a
That's
boat.
right. You've always been the captain. And when I first saw you
Yeah.
guys cross the room, I was like, "Who's the captain and
Yeah.
Tenille over there? Do they do a
Yeah. Right.
dance act?" No, it's Steve and Barb.
I'll inflate the boat for you if you want. It's a 4 footer.
I'll fill the
But
toilet.
anyway, yeah, right. So we were performing, we had two clubs that we opened. Bud Friedman said he would pay us and he let us have meetings at the improv.
hmm
So he paid the comedians. Mitzi wouldn't pay us.
Oh no, shit, no, no.
Yeah.
She's very and then when when
So we
Sammy
lived
moved to
in,
Vegas, it was the same
right,
thing.
right.
Yeah.
We lived in the valley.
Mhm.
So we opened a we didn't open. I mean, the federation opened a club at a place called the Deli Smoker,
Uh-huh.
which was on Van Nuys Boulevard and and Ventura Boulevard.
Uh-huh. That where the LA
And when
Cabaret.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it was a deli that you got in line with your tray, and then there was a seating room to sit and eat, and there
Nice.
was room for a tiny little stage there.
Cafeteria comedy.
Yeah, but so when we started, there weren't many people that came. One night we go over there, and Kevin Nealon, who was in our group,
Wow.
he's standing on the stage, and he's very tall,
Yes.
and the chandelier is hitting his head. And there's one man in the audience sitting at a table eating, and Kevin is doing his act.
Of course.
And and finally, Kevin just says, "Do you mind if I do my act while you eat?" And the guy just looks up and says, "No, do you mind if I eat while you do your act?" And he just went back to eating and didn't pay any attention. Then what happened was real interesting because by week, we charged $1 to get in.
Hmm.
And within like 3 to 4 weeks, there were literally lines around the block. And we were
Wow.
doing 2 shows a night. Because for
Wow.
$1, you can see 45 minutes of comedy an hour.
Yeah. And there were people that were on TV and stuff. They weren't like half-assed people. They
Some,
were
yeah,
really
right. Well, so all good things come to an end.
sure.
The guy who ran the deli, his ego was strafed that people weren't ordering enough food.
Oh gosh.
And and so he made us charge $5 instead of $1. Now, if you want to watch a line go from around the block to two people, just charge $5 back then instead of $1.
That's half
And
a
that's what
record.
happened. It just literally, that was it.
Oh, so sad. I used to remember getting concert tickets for like $15, so I can totally understand that.
Oh, that's right. Um,
What are you doing next? Are you just going to keep coaching? Because you're never going to retire, right?
I don't, well, I won't say never.
Okay.
I mean, like, what has it been? It's been 52 minutes or something,
Yeah.
and I haven't had to go pee, and I
That's
haven't
why I wear
forgotten,
diapers.
and I haven't forgotten where I am yet. So I guess I'm still good. No, I don't. On the one hand, I don't want to retire. On the other hand, I think I'll know when I should.
Yeah. That's the hot part. I like Dick
Yeah.
Van Dyke. He's still
What?
around.
Yeah.
Not good.
Um, yeah. So both Barb and I are still good. We're still doing our stuff. We still do our workshops, our coaching. She does most of the management.
That's so cool.
We still do shows occasionally.
That's
And
excellent.
she probably told you about the women of a certain age shows
Yes,
that
with
we do.
Carol and everybody. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's doing that in January in Palm Springs.
That's
And her
great.
and I have a show in February sometime. But we're not doing it a lot. We haven't. I mean, I don't know how. It wasn't that easy back then when I was 30 years old
Right.
to go out every night and sit around the clubs. And
It's
now
exhausting.
it is. And now it's like, thank you, no.
Well, I used to sit next to Rodney Dangerfield at the Comedy Store, and Polly Shore
Well,
and he
Rodney Dangerfield is the ultimate original comedy character.
fact. Yeah,
The guy who thinks he deserves respect and doesn't.
yeah,
Yeah. No, he
yeah.
was wonderful. Yeah.
But I used to sit with him, and he would just sit there and have his drink and look at stage, and and he's the one who invited me to New York for the first time. But when I first saw him, I never saw him on stage. I hung out with him for 4 or 5 months
Yeah.
because he was just watching new comics. And just seeing that was always impressive to me because
Because he had his club at that point.
he was 50. That's so
Right.
old.
Yeah, I know.
Now that I'm
Oh,
in my
man.
60s, I'm like, what? Nothing. He was still a baby.
Yeah, that's right. Um,
What have you seen as the biggest changes in comedy in the last few years? Do you have any takes on that? Have you seen the AI comedian yet?
The what?
AI comedian. The
No, I haven't.
oh, I don't know if it's South Korea or
Yeah, yeah,
Malaysia,
right.
but there's an Asian comedian now they have
Well,
as the AI
here's the
comedian.
thing. For the last 50 years,
Mhm,
there's always been comedians that memorize their material,
mhm.
have punchlines every 12 or 15 seconds.
Yeah,
And there's always been supposedly this movement to where, no, I went to the grocery store and they were out of my, and that's comedy,
yeah,
And back in the day, it was always called alternative comedy.
yeah,
And,
yeah. They
and
throw you at
they're
the un
always,
cabaret and say, "Why don't you
I
play a
know,
polka?" Yeah,
they're always pushing it. And,
yeah,
and, and here's the litmus test. Who has made it big as a stand-up comedian in the last 10 years?
yeah. Patton Oswalt.
Not one of them has
Yeah,
ever made it and never will, because you can't just tell stories. You can't just do Facebook posts,
TikToks.
TikToks. We managed a fellow, I won't tell you his name either, who was um, he was a influencer,
Mhm.
and he was getting paid literally $10,000 every time he would post just to take his shirt off and mention a product. And he was getting rich doing it. And so we tried to help him learn how to act so he could be in a series and stuff
Yeah, so he
like
can get
that.
past that point in his career where he's not just a
Yeah,
poster. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But he couldn't do it. It was like it was too much work for him. All he had to do was take his shirt off and say a product name, and he'd make $10,000.
Wow. He
Well,
has a
anyway,
wake-up
since
call
then
coming to
he's
him.
yeah, he's faded out and who
Yeah,
knows
people don't
where.
stay pretty forever.
No,
There's
and
only so much plastic you can take, you know.
the fact is it still takes 10 to 15 years to be a good comedian.
Yeah,
It's just simple as that.
yeah.
You
And
can't
knowing
do it
how to read an
fast.
audience is a really strong gift to have. If
Yes.
you can get it figured out the first 5 years, you're lucky, But if you start touring the country in the United States anyway, or different countries, if you're in Europe or Asia, and you realize that the audience here in Japan is going to be way different than the audience over there in Toronto, way different than Aspen, you know.
Yeah, I've now coached people in Indonesia, in Germany,
Wow.
and yes, there is one funny German comedian, and he's Asian.
Of course he is.
Yeah, and the French are very weird with comedy because they were into Jerry Lewis.
I was
That's
going to say, there we go. We get the Jerry Lewis comment, right?
for them everything is. We had this show that was called Switcheroo that we've had in development and did pilots and all this stuff.
And it had a really cool French name. Like,
Yeah, I can't, but it meant a goldfish, something. It was
yeah.
an out of context thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and they goofed it up completely. It was like watching a circus when they did it. Yeah. So, there's differences there. Um, People that I coach in Australia are pretty similar to us
Yeah.
in their taste. Um, okay, so did I tell you this?
What's that?
Um, my book, I gotta get it. My book got published in Russia. I
Привет,
got
Bob.
I got called a couple years ago by the largest Russian um, um, book producer,
Uh-huh.
and they wanted to translate my book.
Okay.
And so they did, and it's been selling there for 2 or 3 years. But the weird thing is, all right, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to run it so I can grab the book and show it to you.
Okay. Don't go near any windows.
I'll try not to. Not with scissors.
Steve North, How to Killing Comedy is a good book. You should read it. It's
Okay, I'm
wicked.
coming. I'm coming.
It's okay. No worries. We're pointing at your book.
So This is my book.
Oh, wait, it's yeah, it's the weird part about the background. It kind of
Oh,
erases you
yeah,
out
right
there.
here. This is my
Oh, look
book.
at that.
Now, that's my name. Hopped, Kittenhood Hopped. And the
Oh.
other strange thing is that
Stop
Barb,
off.
who writes the intro,
Uh-huh.
even though we both have the same last name,
Oh, because it's feminized for her. Yeah.
yes, it isn't Hopped for her.
She's probably hopped over.
There, there's not one English word in the whole book.
That's amazing. Steve,
But the greatest thing
yeah,
with that was that so they had to pay me for the original
the right,
down payment on the book, or not down payment,
the
real
advance.
estate. It's not real estate.
You
You
had
know,
an
they
advance on the book.
they optioned it, rather.
Option
No,
it.
no,
Oh,
it's not an option either. This
not the
is,
advance. Not,
yeah, in advance. Okay.
yeah.
So it took us 8 months for them to get the check to me. And I felt like I was in the CIA because, there's no reciprocity, whatever, between Russia and the US.
Sure.
So
Unless you live in the White
first,
House.
I know, first
Yeah.
I'd get a notice that I got something from Iran, and that wouldn't get through. And then something tried to come from Uganda, and that couldn't get through. Finally, it got through somehow.
That Fresh Prince in Nigeria.
Yes, right. Oh my God. So yeah, it's been quite a journey. Um,
It's amazing. It's amazing to get to know you on so many different levels, and just watching you through the years and just going, wow, he's done it again. I mean, you're just so good.
he he just won't. He doesn't get it. He just keeps going.
Somebody please give him a lollipop. Tell him to sit
Tell
down.
him he's okay and get him off stage. Jesus.
Steve North, you are one of my favorite people on the planet, and Bob
Thank you.
is just a hug with a face, so you better give her one for me.
I
Uh,
will. Well, you're one of our favorite people.
oh, I so love you guys. I really appreciate. I got a tear in my eye when you said that. Because I know you
So
don't believe it.
tell everybody, go online and get the book. Just
Yes,
order
we're
the
going to
book.
put the links to your website, funnycoach.com, down below, and Bob's as well. And her mediator site is also on her page from when we did her interview. Um, but absolutely wonderful, and that people could sign up and get coaching from you now is so cool because they
Yeah,
don't know how
just send me
valuable it is.
an email, steve@funnycoach.com,
There
and
you have it.
we'll set up an hour Zoom uh, coaching for you.
Excellent, excellent. Well,
I'll I'll make you find out your blind spot and your flaw, and
just like your mom does,
that's right.
except
Yeah,
better. You won't have to have that angst afterwards. All right, my darlings, this has been the Antisocial Hour-ish show. Our guest today is Mr. Steve North, and next week we are going to have Steve Pearl, who's going to help wrap out Christmas this year with us. So this is going to be
nice.
amazing. And it's the shortest interview we've ever done because the two of us have ADHD, and neither one of us could get a word in edgewise.
So that'll be what, 3.5 hours,
Yeah, I think it lasted all of 11 minutes. It's pretty funny.
or maybe 11 minutes. You guys
Yeah.
are going so fast. Yeah.
That's all we could get in back between each other. It's probably one of the funniest, goofiest interviews we've ever done. But and we will see you guys next week. Steve, please hold on for just a moment. And thanks everybody.